Right, Brian Lara, Sunil Gavaskar with us to talk about that game. Brian, I'll start with you. Well done. You predicted South Africa would be the winners yesterday on our show. They have won, but at the end of the day, you also thought it will be a close game. Are you disappointed with the way Sri Lanka performed today?
That's supposed to be the match of the quarterfinals, South Africa versus Sri Lanka, but it was a mismatch. And I'm very disappointed in the whole outcome. The Sri Lankans were terrible with the bats, and they had little or no chance with the ball. I think South Africa will be very happy with the fact that the cock got some runs. They were worried about him. He had the gloves in his hand, and I think the captain, de Villiers, don't want to wicket keep. So it seems like his pick was always certain, and they needed him to get some runs. So I think out of this match, that was maybe the best result for South Africa.
Right, Sunny bhai, to you, and I know that you don't like the word choke, so let me rephrase the question. Do you think South Africa swallowed well today?
They certainly did. They were on top of their game right from the new ball attack. And then they had a bonus of sorts when their number 5 bowler, the 5th bowler, JP Dumini, bowled so well, got a hat-trick. And that is what set the Lankans back. If the Lankans had maybe another 100 runs, then it could have been an interesting match, simply because you saw that the ball was turning a little bit when the Lankans were bowling. But in this game, no place for ifs and buts. The South Africans much the superior side, much the more committed side, more determined side. You could see that they wanted to win the quarterfinals, and they did that quite easily.
Right, Brian, now that South Africa have swallowed, they are well fed, do you think they will be very dangerous going ahead into the tournament? Because, that burden of not winning a knockout is off them. They can now play freely and could be dangerous, you reckon?
Most definitely. South Africa looked totally up to it today. Their fast bowlers were menacing. Morkel Stein came to the party, and he's a big game player, so we expect them now to really go ahead. I think they got a really good all-round game out of it. They're full of confidence. And whoever they meet in the remainder of the tournament, the opposition need to know that they're coming up against a very tough team.
Okay, one word on Sangakkara and Mahela Jayawardene. Sunny bhai, I'll come to you, and this was their last World Cup game. I know Sri Lanka lost, but do you think these two players can go with their head held high because of the way that they've performed in international cricket for so long in the one-day game too?
Most certainly they can, because yes, I think today Sangha got some runs, but Mahela didn't fire. But I think you don't judge anybody by one match and one performance. Over the last so many years, 16-something years, they have been the pillars of Sri Lankan cricket, and they have been absolutely fantastic cricketers. They've been respected all over the world. They're well liked by other cricketers, and therefore I think certainly they will go with their heads high. And more importantly, I think they will be missed by the entire cricketing world.
Brian, to you, because you had the opportunity to play against them, how are they like as opponents? And whenever you played Sri Lanka, did these two gentlemen be on your mind?
Amazing batsmen, amazing team men, and great service for Sri Lankan cricket. Over 800 one-day internationals between them. I mean, the way how Sangakkara batted in this World Cup, 400s on a trot, and he looked ominous today, but his partners sort of disappointed him. Jayawardene has been a great service to Sri Lankan cricket over the years. He's also a top-class player, and they're going to be missed. I mean, the fact that their plan, this is their last World Cup, their last World Cup match, Sri Lanka is going to struggle to find two players that's going to be actually playing as good as they have. They're going to have a lot of young players coming up, but between Jayawardene and Sangakkara, it's going to be very, very hard to replace them.
Right, Brian Lara, Sunil Gavaskar with us. We'll talk about India versus Bangladesh. Brian, I'll start with you. We saw a one-sided quarterfinal in quarterfinal number 1. Can we expect a one-sided quarterfinal in quarterfinal number 2 as well, considering India looked the stronger side on paper?
A much stronger side, and as I said earlier on, Sri Lanka, South Africa was the actual big quarterfinal match. I'm not going to underrate Bangladesh, but India is going to be way too strong. And with the performance of Sri Lanka, everybody's going to be going back tonight thinking we can't go out there and hiccup. And India is going to be in strong position. Darwin, Rohit Sharma, everybody's, I think, ready for the game. And I don't think it's going to be an easy task for Bangladesh to be in the game. And India is going to show their true form in this quarterfinals.
Right, Sunny, ever since India drew Bangladesh in the quarter-final, you were one of those people who said that India must not take Bangladesh lightly. What are the reasons that you think that India need to be wary of Bangladesh?
Well, because their batting is doing well in this tournament. They have flourished. Mahmudullah has batted well. Mushfiqur can take the game away from you. Saqib can do that. Sabir's been batting well. Tamim. So they have a pretty good batting lineup. And if the ball starts to turn a little bit, they've got the spinners who can defend a 240, 250 plus score. So that's why it's important that India do not take them lightly at all. India, I know, has got a very, very good batting lineup. They were tested, they were stretched by Zimbabwe the other day, which was a good thing for India to be tested and stretched. And now against Bangladesh, it will be pretty similar. It will not be easy. I expect India to win, but it won't be as easy as a lot of people think.
Okay, now let's talk about some details of the game. Brian, you captain West Indies in the one-day format. Now, everyone says that at the MCG, always best to win the toss, put some runs on the board, bat first. But tomorrow it's expected to rain as well, in which case a captain might even look to chase the target because the target might keep changing over the course of the game. How do you think a captain should handle this situation? Win the toss and do what?
I think the toss is really about the state of the pitch, the conditions. As you said, there might be rain tomorrow, but if it's a good batting track and you wake up and there's clear skies, you want to be able to bat and put a score on the board. You don't want to give the opposition the chance to make runs and then corner you and put pressure on you. Today we saw Sri Lanka not coming up to the party. They came way short, and South Africa, who's a bad chasing team, having a very small total. So it's in terms of toss, it's really and truly on the day how the conditions look. You don't want to be at a disadvantage winning the toss and doing something that you don't want to.
Right, now let's talk about particulars about the MCG. We spoke about the toss. Sunny, let's talk about the size of the MCG. It's clearly one of the biggest cricket grounds that you'll see in the world. How do you think this size matters in fielding? You know, many believe that a better fielding side has a big advantage here because of the size of the ground. And India clearly seem like the better fielding side compared to Bangladesh.
Yes, I think because the boundaries are longer, it does take a little time for the ball to travel, and that's where good fielders, athletic fielders, will be able to cover the ground and stop the ball from going to the boundary. And that is where, as you said, India has the advantage simply because India has a very, very good young, athletic, fit fielding side. And so it won't be easy for the Bangladeshis to score the boundaries. Also, to hit sixes at the MCG is not easy. You've really got to connect the ball well, time it well, for it to go over the fence. So it's not going to be easy for the boundaries and the sixers to be hit. And if the weather is dicey, if the ball starts to do things, then batting's not going to be easy either.
Right, and Sunny, finally, I just can't help but list out the advantages for India. The other advantage we saw in the game against South Africa, 90,000 fans come, 90% of them are Indian. So would you say India play with an extra man here?
Oh, yes, we saw that against the South Africans when the Indians completely seem to have overwhelmed the South Africans by their presence at the ground. Not so much on the ground. On the ground also they did with their 300 plus score. And I think that is going to be the case. But don't you underestimate the Bangladesh support. Because we've seen when Bangladesh have played at the MCG, the ground has been fairly packed with Bangladeshi supporters. So if the Indians, not knowing where they were going to play, the Indian supporters, look, India was the only team that did not know where they were going to play their quarterfinals. Sri Lanka knew that if they got to the quarterfinals, they were going to play in Sydney. Australia knew they were going to play in Adelaide. New Zealand knew they were going to play in Wellington. Only India did not know. So maybe a lot of the Indian supporters haven't got their tickets, and a lot of Bangladesh supporters, because Bangladesh qualified a couple of days earlier, maybe they have done the booking, so it could be 50-50.